All right, welcome back to Draws and Fades, episode 103, preview of the Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands in Cromwell, Connecticut. I'm your host, Owen Vrabel, joined by my co-host, Matthew Miller.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back.
And producer, Nick Voss.
What's going on, boys? How we doing?
Not too bad. Matthew freaking Fitzpatrick wins the U.S. Open at -6 over Will Zalatoris and Scotty Scheffler with a pretty incredible Sunday performance. So we'll have to get into that for a bit. Obviously, we spent a decent amount of time shitting on Matthew Fitzpatrick last week on our podcast, so that did not work out well. But as a whole, the U.S. Open didn't go too great for us. But I will say, as just a casual viewer, it was definitely an exciting tournament. So with that being said, definitely make sure to win big in 2022 with Rotoballer.com's PGA Premium Pass. Rotoballer's premium DFS package includes exclusive tools, DFS cheat sheets, research stations, our lineup optimizer, and so much more to help you win big. For limited time, get your PGA Premium Pass for 50% off using our promo code DNF10 for another 10% discount. Just visit rotoballer.com/radio to sign up today and start rotoballing like a boss. So like I said, we will recap the U.S. Open. Not a lot of good things for the boys in terms of bets made last week. But there was definitely some excitement on the course. And then we're rolling into the Travelers Championship. We're all UConn grads. We're in Connecticut, feeling good vibes from last year. We all had on Harris English at around 40-1 in like an 8-hole playoff over Kramer Hickok. So the good vibes will be back this week. We'll quickly touch on the Live, which is continuing to grow and scooping up a bunch of our guys. Brooks Koepka and Abe Answer, the most recent guys to make the jump.
Feels like a pretty targeted attack at you guys.
Specifically Matt Miller. I mean, they've now taken 4 of his favorite guys to bet on. Brooks,
I feel like
Patrick Reed, Sergio Garcia, and Abe Answer. So
I feel like I'm pretty much like running the tour at this point.
Yeah.
They're taking all my guys. It would be like my fantasy team. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just means that you can place 4 bets every week on a different tour and potentially make some money. So, But yeah, we'll quickly touch on all that, and then we'll get into the course preview at TPC River Highlands. Give you our strategy for this week for betting and one and done. Go through the odds list on FanDuel. Pretty strong field for the week after a major. I mean, short commute from Boston to Connecticut, so I think that probably has a lot to do with it. The guys really love playing at the Travelers, so we got a good field. Give you our outright plays, top 10s and 20s, and our one and done picks at the end of the show. Follow along on Twitter at draws_n_fades, at Owen_Vrabel, at Matty Mills 85. So yeah, I guess we'll start off recapping the U.S. Open. After all that shit we talked about Fitzpatrick, it just got absolutely slammed down our throats on Sunday. That was tough to swallow. I mean, obviously, we didn't really have anyone in the mix come Sunday. I had Burns, who started the day, 3 back, 4 back? I think might have been 3 back. But,
3.
And he was kind of my one runner, but he was paired with Rory, and they both couldn't really get too much going. Colin Morikawa shot 7 over on Saturday, had 2 of the best rounds of the week on 2 of the other 4 days. So if he doesn't completely implode on Saturday, he's probably in the mix. But realistically, pretty much I would say close to halfway through, it really felt like it was Scheffler, Zalatoris, or Fitzpatrick. And Scheffler
during the day, you mean?
Yeah. I would say right around the 9th hole, because at the 9th hole, Scheffler again had a great front 9, just like he did on Saturday, where he got all the way to -6. And on Saturday, I remember texting you guys, like, is this going to just be another Scheffler runaway, and he's just going to run away and hide?
Well,
and then he
pulled
played
that one out for Eagle, and it was like, oh, God, like, that's not what he needs, of all people.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. But then the 11th through the 14th holes, both Saturday and Sunday, just ate him alive. He played the par 3, 11th horribly, double bogeyed on Saturday, bogeyed on Sunday with like a 4-foot missed putt for par. And he'll definitely look back. And, I mean, you could make the same case for a lot of the guys who finished inside the top 5. But Scheffler in particular kind of gave it away on those 3 or 4 holes. Yeah, I mean, Zalatoris, too, extremely impressive. Third runner-up. So he's got a runner-up at the Masters, the U.S. Open, and the PGA, which is insane. And he was inches away from another playoff at a major. Kind of felt bad for him. I mean, obviously, I was rooting for him over Fitzpatrick when it came down to it.
Yeah. I was rooting for that putt to drop like I had a ticket on him. Just so we didn't have to see Fitz win.
That just didn't happen. But again, Fitzpatrick had I mean, obviously the approach on 18 from the bunker, the approach on 15 from the rough on the right, which he kind of got lucky as hell on because Zalatoris is a better drive and ends up in the thicker rough because Fitzpatrick missed by a mile and ended up in like the trampled down area where all the viewers were, and he got like a patted down lie. Again, he was like 200 and something yards out, but he hit a great shot. But that's probably when I should have realized that this might just be Matt Fitzpatrick's day. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a tough pill for us to swallow, really. And it's like one of those tournaments where you can't even like it just takes like a total like awesome performance to win. And I think I even said at the beginning of the week, like there's going to be no lucky winners this week, and of course Fitz pulls it out, and we just have to kind of take our shit on it.
Yeah, I mean, because it really wasn't a lucky win. I mean,
he was impressive, but I just can't believe Fitz did it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to sum it up. Like I want to give him shit, but he played great. Zalatoris and Scheffler both had putts on 18 to get to -6. Scheffler's wasn't as close as Zalatoris, but I mean, for them, meekable, just didn't get it done. So impressive from Matt Fitzpatrick. Obviously happy for Billy Foster. That was a pretty cool story. His caddy spent 40 years on the tour, caddied for Lee Westwood, Thomas Bjorn. Who else did he caddy for?
Seve for a bit.
Yeah. So he's caddied for some pretty good golfers and hasn't ever won a major. And of course, Matthew Fitzpatrick gets in his first. So
I mean,
I think all the Englishmen are pretty happy for him, but at the same time, like he kind of just surpassed all of them like very quickly.
Yeah,
it's kind of
Lee Westwood has 7 or 8 like top 10 finishes in majors, so probably pretty tough for him to see not being able to get it done, and Matthew Fitzpatrick does. But and Tyrrell Hatton, I mean, might as well just take a seat, dude. Matthew Fitzpatrick's completely overtaken you, so
yeah, Hatton's fallen way back in those rankings.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, storylines wise, I mean, Morikawa and Hideki played well on Sunday. Rory continues to play well, but not well enough to really even like similar to the Masters. Like he was technically in contention, but never really in full contention. I mean, he would have needed a birdie out from like the 15th hole on to really give himself a chance, and obviously didn't do that.
Even his front nine though was such a roller coaster because it was like, okay, Rory's close enough, but he needs to have like an all-time Sunday round at a major to make this happen, and like it was just bogey birdie. Like it just kept going back and forth where you were like, okay, are we going to get started? Nope, we're going to take a step back. Oh, we got it back, and it just eventually, obviously, it fell off where it was just like, okay, we're running out of holes and we're toast here, but you know,
yeah. So, and Rahm was pretty similar through the weekend. He was kind of up and down, and he shot 4 over on Sunday, so he was ready to make the start today.
I actually thought, like, going into Sunday that, like, I thought Rahm was going to win. I got just looking at the leaderboard, I'm like, it seems like Rahm's going to pull it out.
He's in a good spot, yeah.
Yeah, he was just really bad on Sunday.
Yeah, he was pretty bad, yeah. But, I mean, that being said, you did see a lot of the top of the guys on the odds list, Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, all be part of the story come the weekend. Then it's the surprises. What?
Good thing we skipped that top section and moved down to speed.
Yeah, tough, very tough. Definitely felt like an idiot for not taking Scheffler, but I mean, I guess luckily he didn't win. But I did have him in one.
Yeah, I mean, we could take solace in the fact that we were never going to take Fitz.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing that would have happened that I would have taken Matt Fitzpatrick at 25-1. So
yeah, right.
Then we did have some surprises. Denny, Keegan Bradley, Hadwin, Damon, Woodland, Seamus Power, all the top 12 finishes. So there were some impressive storylines. I mean, again, it definitely, once it came down to the last 9 holes on Sunday, it was basically a 3-horse race. So, and I definitely was shocked. So good for Matt Fitzpatrick, good for Billy Foster. We got one more major championship of the year left, July 14th to the 17th, which will be about 3 weeks from now. So at the Old Course St. Andrews, which is going to be awesome. So we got that to look forward to. But before we get there, obviously we have a few more tournaments to get through, and then we have guys disappearing left and right to go to the Live Tour. So Brooks and Abe Answer both have now confirmed they're leaving. Shockingly, Brooks is still in the field this week as of now on a Tuesday night. So we'll see how that plays out. That could be a very strange storyline if he actually shows up to play this week.
I hope he does.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty funny if he did. But yeah, it's safe to say people are not happy with Brooks, but I don't think anyone's really surprised. I mean, this is like right up his alley. He plays less golf. As of now, can still play in the majors and gets paid more. So like all of the – because like basically the biggest prize of the PGA Tour is the Tour Championship, which means you have to finish inside the top 125 in the FedEx Cup as of Northern Trust, top 75 as of the BMW, and a top 30 – or no, yeah, top 30 after the BMW advance to the Tour Championship. So – I mean, you have to play a ton of events throughout the year to be able to gain enough FedEx points, especially if you're not winning events. So for guys like Brooks who say they only care about the majors, I think it's pretty tough to be in contention for golf, the PGA Tour's biggest prize, so to speak. So for a lot of these guys, they're like, I get to play a third of the events, get a giant bag at my front door just to sign up. And as of now, I can still play in golf's biggest events. So I mean, from a moral standpoint, you can say whatever you want, but they're making a ton of money for doing less. So
yeah, I think some people are taking it just the moral standpoint is just I'm not gonna like pretend that I'm like way better than that. No one who's really judging them. I mean, I guess a few guys on the PGA Tour, but for a majority like the writers and all that, like they would never be in a position to even face that kind of decision. So it's kind of ridiculous to just call them out and be like, "Oh, you already have enough money. You don't need to do that." I think it's dumb. I think it makes sense for a lot of the guys to go over there and play. I guess people were pissed about Brooks because of his like press conference last week and kind of what he said about it. But at the same time, also like if there's not a deal done yet, what do you want him to say? Yeah, I'm working on a deal to go to Live. Like it's not complete yet. What did you think he was going to say if it's not?
Imagine if he walked up to the podium last week.
About it. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to just go and say, like, yeah, I'm like trying to figure it out right now and like a deal.
Well, he's also like it still makes sense. Like he was there to win a U.S. Open. Like he wasn't there for any other reason. Like, and what is there to talk about besides what he wants to talk about for that day, which is playing an U.S. Open?
Yeah, like so. I just don't really
But the questions aren't going to end. So, and it's still so much up in the air. Obviously, the PGA Tour is trying to counterbalance this with a new proposal for an 8-event fall swing type limited field, 50 players, big purse type events, which I guess they're saying will extend over throughout the season. It'll be, I think you qualify based on FedEx Cup standings as of the current standings, or is it based on last year's standings? I don't even know the whole details behind that, but it's like, where were you guys? Like, why weren't you doing this a year ago? Like they just didn't take the Live seriously. And now they're dropping millions of dollars off at these guys' doorsteps and they're leaving. So we're not, as a viewer, we don't know where the Live is going to be broadcasting besides on YouTube. So we're getting a relatively shittier product in terms of viewing if you do want to watch it.
Not that much shittier than the U.S. Open. I mean, holy shit. Talk about like a major championship where the viewing of it sucked.
Yeah.
You have to bounce around from Peacock to USA. The app stinks. I mean, it made the PGA Tour app look good.
Yeah.
I mean, and even when you find the coverage, you're not actually seeing any golf shots, which is nothing new. But like, I mean, the leaderboards were updating before you saw the shot, so it's like, oh well, I guess so and so made a birdie. Like, I didn't even realize they were on the green. Like,
yeah. I guess just logistically, like, it's going to be still shittier because they don't have any media coverage yet. And they're still doing these shotgun starts, which means that everyone's playing at the same time. So if you have multiple big names playing at the same time, it's going to be impossible to show all the shots. Yeah. And if you have guys, no-name guys, like, well, not no-name, Scotty Vincent, for instance, who's playing really well, you may not see him as much because people are going to want to see Phil, DJ Brooks, our boy Abe, Patrick Reed. So, but it's interesting because now they have 4 guys inside the top 25.
Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that's like critiqued, they like definitely could just change and improve. And like that's something that like then there would be no more criticism for it. I think like the thing I think the PGA is totally shocked with how many guys made the leap. And now it's like you see the guys who are like so anti-live trying to justify as more and more guys leave, like why it's not that big of a deal that they left and like how it's still not really a threat. And like you could just sense how threatened they are, but they're trying to talk themselves through it. I mean, it's a huge deal. You're losing guys left and right and big name players.
Also trying to rationalize not taking over $100 million each that they could easily go get. Like, and they know that too.
Right. Like, for instance, Brooks has made $37 million on the PGA Tour in his career.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I mean, that's over 173 events. I mean, let's just say safely, he's probably getting at least 125 million. I mean, or let's just say 100 million. I mean, he's making 3 times as much money he's made on the PGA Tour in one check and to play 7 events. I mean, granted, we're not hearing all of the details of what they're signing up for because, like, DJ apparently is signed up for 4 years and, like, they're going to play more events next year. So maybe it will eventually be look a little bit different, but
even so, I mean,
yeah.
It's
like, but I mean, I will say, I think that this new 8 event thing could and probably will keep around some of the younger guys, some of the younger talent who's looking to play on the PGA Tour and make like a legacy, so to speak. I mean, they are kind of losing like the mid-30s and older guys, obviously, to the live. And I mean, the kind of like on paper makes sense. But we haven't seen any of the young guys. I mean, Answer is still younger.
Yeah, I mean,
besides Gooch, we haven't seen one of the young guys that's rising on the PGA Tour make the leap yet. So,
but do you think do you think Neiman's gonna make the jump?
I don't know,
because his best friends on tour are like the President's Cup guys who are. I mean, Answer's already over there. He's boys with Sergio. Like I could see him making a jump.
Yeah, but some of those other like, Spanish background guys like Munoz hasn't gone. Obviously, Mito hasn't gone. Johnny Vegas hasn't gone. So, but there's a ton of guys that they still have to be able to choose from. And also, like, does Liv have a cap on how many guys are looking to sign? Because
that's a funny thing too.
The whole deal was like no cut events, but now like they have a ton of guys now.
Are they going to start kicking off some of the bottom of the barrel guys? Like, be like, oh, we need some slots. Like, sorry.
Well, I don't know if it's like they're gonna either expand the fields or either like guys don't have to play in all 8 events, which I mean 8 doesn't seem like that many to play in, but I don't know.
Oh, if everyone does though.
I guess if it's like you were Schwartzel and you just won like 4.75, like you're like, yeah, I'll take an event off. Why not?
Yeah, but isn't like there even bigger prize for winning the whole year?
Yeah, I think so, and I think there's like a team aspect of it.
So it feels like week to week we're just getting more and more information about this, and like obviously more and more guys continue to jump ship, and the names are getting more and more interesting. I mean, DJ was a huge splash. We knew Phil was going to go, but then like a lot of those European like veterans like Sergio, Louis, Westwood, Poulter, like none of them were surprises. So we haven't had like giant surprises yet. Answer was kind of a surprise, I think, but like. Yeah, Neiman, Hovland, if one of those guys go, it starts getting really not good for the PGA Tour product. So, well, we'll keep our eyes on it. They're playing in Portland next week and then New Jersey the following month. So, should be interesting to see how that all shakes out. And
then next week should be even more interesting because the John Deere is going to have a god-awful field because all the good players playing this week are going to go over to Europe and then play the Scottish Open the next week before the British Open. Or there's guys are going to go to Portland. So I think they're going to have the strongest golf event next weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to see the viewer. I mean, I know you have to watch on YouTube and it's like a big cash, but I would like to see what kind of viewership numbers they put up because I agree. I mean, they're going to have a better, at least more intriguing field than the John Deere.
Yeah. I mean, like obviously we're going to be betting on the John Deere, and we're going to see what the field looks like. I mean, obviously, it could be like a long shot special week, but yeah, I have no idea. So the end of the season is going to be extremely crazy, and then the start of the next season.
I can't wait for this is like just the perfect for that first season of the Netflix show. Like this couldn't have been scripted any better than I'm sure it's unfolding behind the scenes.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
you
I
would-
hope they kind of show the progression. Like, yeah, like no way anyone's gonna go to the live to like
Be like,
break
oh
news.
fuck, like
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they're, I mean,
Because 2 months ago,
they got the rights to the PGA Tour to do this, so like, I'm sure that they're gonna make it pro PGA Tour. So I'm sure, I don't know who gets final edit on it or whatever,
Yeah.
but we'll see how real the footage gets. But
it's
I
like
think if they
they're gonna
want
probably-
people to watch golf more in general, then they'll make it as real as possible. So
yeah. Because I mean, even before the first event, like it was like a week before, the field didn't come out, and people were still mocking it. Like, are we even gonna have an event? And now they have a pretty good field for the next event.
yeah, I mean, they have 4 top 25 guys, and that's not including Gooch. It's not including Patrick Reed. It's not including Sergio, Westwood, Poulter, McDowell, and then even like Horsfield on the European Tour. Our guy Scotty Vincent from the Asian Tour. They got some names, and we'll see how the product progresses. Like, who's going to be the first one in to jump in and like start broadcasting this. So, and they might not do it right away. They'll probably wait to see how well it does, and then eventually someone will probably jump in. But
Yeah, I'm curious to see who that
the
is.
backlash is still pretty bad online. Like, people are obviously flipping on all the guys who make the move. Brandel Chambly is absolutely completely losing his mind.
Yeah.
And so it's we're just in the beginning stages here. So we'll
Yeah,
continue.
Brandel Chambly is on his high horse right now.
Yeah, we'll continue to touch base on it. But for now, we are on to the Travelers Championship, where, like I said at the beginning, we do have a strong field week after a major. People love it at this event. Fans love it. Players love it. Travelers Championship in Cromwell, TPC River Highlands, kind of an exciting course. I mean, definitely birdies are out there to be made. But it's a shorter course, and it's a little bit more difficult than it looks on paper. So we don't get like the true birdie fest in like the mid 20s or anything like that. But you're gonna have to be making some birdies this week. So, like I said, we got some good vibes coming in with Harris English last year at around 40-1. So what are we working with this week at TPC River Highlands, man?
Yeah, we have a par 70, 6,852 yards, bent grass greens. It is a Pete Dye design. Harris English and ourselves, the defending champions last year, at
Yes,
minus
sir.
13, 8-hole playoff over Kramer Hickok. That was a wild event. Probably one of the crazier finishes of the year last year. Remember Harris looked dead quite a few times during that playoff and kind of kept fighting it off. And
that was the most dragged out playoff ever, though.
It was crazy, yeah.
Like, neither of them can make birdies, if I'm not wrong, right?
It was like nuts. I think Hickok missed a few short ones. I think like one time Harris had an absolutely ridiculous up and down from the bunker to keep it alive. Yeah, it was nuts. But yes, so he won minus 13 last year. Dustin Johnson won the year before at minus 19. That was when he was in the midst of like a giant slump coming off that COVID break. And we passed on him at like 35-1 or something absolutely ridiculous.
Felt really bad about that.
Felt really stupid about that one, yes. That was a good event. Ches Reavie won the year before that at minus 17. And then Bubba Watson won the year prior to that at minus 17. So just kind of looking at the winners, I mean, you could kind of tell between the Ches Reavie and the Dustin Johnson, there's different types of, styles that could win here. They're very different players. Harris English doesn't have really one skill set that pops out. So you can kind of have all different types of games and succeed here. Like you mentioned in the opening, it's kind of weird because the winners are usually somewhere in the teens. I mean, you see DJ got to minus 19, but then Harris won last year at minus 13. But guys go like very low for individual rounds. Mackenzie Hughes shot a 60 here a few years ago. Canlay shot a 60 as an amateur, and then Furyk got to, I think, 58. Which is wild because, I mean, you shoot minus 10, minus 12 in one round, but then you can't get to 20 under. So it is kind of one of those courses that even though there's a lot of birdies out there, it is a little bit tougher to kind of continuously produce them. So I think we're in for a pretty interesting event. I'm looking at kind of a good tee to green game, I think is important this week. There's going to be some holes that you have to kind of club down on off the tee on some of these par fours, but I think distance kind of always does help. There is one drivable par four on this course as well, but you can certainly make your high scores on that hole if you put it in the wrong spot off the tee. So I'm kind of looking at tee to green, a complete game as always approach is going to be important. I think that 125 to 175 range will be something key to look at this week. Just kind of with the length and yardage of the course. Putting on bent, I guess you could look at as well. I don't know if you had anything in particular that you were feeling strongly about this week in terms of statistics and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's multiple different types of guys who won this. Obviously, Ches Reavie, Harris English, but then Bubba and DJ, kind of bombers of the golf ball. And Bubba, I think, hasn't been noted to say like he loves this course because he basically knows that he's going to have wedge in his hand or a 9-iron, pretty much wedge on like something ridiculous, like 15 of the 18 holes, 14 of the 18, where he knows he's going to have a nice, whether he's in the rough or he's in the fairways, and have a nice wedge in. So there's definitely an advantage for being long here, but like you said, it's a short course that you're going to have to be kind of strategic off the tee. I wouldn't say as strategic as you would be at Colonial, but there's certainly guys that can play their way around this course without being super long. So I'm looking for guys, like you said, that are strong tee to green over the last 5-6 events, and guys that can make birdies in bunches. So, like, we're going to need to make birdies here this week. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to do so. And I think the putter, as always, you're going to need a relatively hot putter to win this event. If you're going to be making 20, 23 birdies on the week, you're going to be needed to have pretty good form with your putter from like 10 to 20 feet. So I like all the statistics, and the proximity ranges from like 125 to 175. Like you said, wedges, 9-irons, those short irons are going to need to be locked in this week. And I will note that it's interesting coming off a major to this event. We've seen two guys in particular in the last 3 years. Harris English in 2021 finished third at the U.S. Open, and then came to the Travelers and won at -13. Ches Reavie surprisingly finished third at the U.S. Open in 2019 and then won at the Travelers the next week. So you would think that having a test like the U.S. Open would kind of tire you out, especially if you were in contention, so to speak. But guys that played well at the U.S. Open the week before, and we've kind of started to see this trend play out a little bit more, where guys who played well at the majors end up still continuing to play well the next week. And that thought process of them being worn out has really not come to fruition at all. So there were some interesting names in the top 20 last week at the U.S. Open. So I think that a little foreshadowing there. I think there's some guys with some decent odds that played well last week. And so let's get to the odds board, because like I said, we got a strong field. So because of that, we have we have 6 guys under 22 to 1 and 9 guys under 30. And that's Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, all at 11 to 1 on FanDuel currently. Patrick Cantlay at 13, Sam Burns at 19, Xander at 21, and then Jordan Spieth at 22, Sungjae and Keegan at 30. So pretty top-heavy part of the board, and that's why you're going to get a lot of nice numbers in the mid-range. So obviously going off of what I just said, Scotty Scheffler and Rory definitely seem dangerous at a course like this. But I think I'm going to pass again on the top of the board for the most part. I'm still contemplating taking Jordan Spieth at 22 to 1, obviously former champion back in, was it 2015, I believe?
He had the chip in to win.
2017, actually, yeah. The playoff over Berger with the chip in from the bunker. And he actually hasn't played particularly well since then at his times here, but just feels like it's out of all the numbers that are available for the elite players here, 22 feels pretty good on Spieth. Other than that, I think I'm going to try to fade this section a bit, and a little bit worried about my guy Sam Burns. He's been locked in. He obviously played poorly on Sunday at the U.S. Open, but now 2 majors in a row where he got himself into contention on the weekend. And the non-majors we've seen him play recently, he's obviously been completely locked in. He's first in strokes gained on approach his last 24 rounds. And he obviously won the Charles Schwab and then backed it up in the 4th at the RBC Canadian Open. So plenty to be worried about at the top of the board, but I think there's so much value in the middle that it's a little bit easier than typical to kind of slide past this range. So anyone intrigue you, 30 to 1 under, Matt?
I'm gonna pass in this range as well. I think you can make a case for I don't know, Cantlay at 13. Just kind of, I was gonna say the top four guys. The numbers are low, and kind of Cantlay's number seems pretty
That's
ridiculously low.
yeah.
Burns, I think has got a strong chance. Like you said, he just won recently. It seems like an event that he could excel at. And I gave a little thought to Xander. We've bashed him on the show plenty about not being able to win. So I'm still going to ultimately pass on him. But I do think that he's somewhat intriguing. He's over 20-1. It's not the strongest field.
It's not as intriguing as you'd like it to be.
Nah, it's not as intriguing as I'd like it to be. But maybe he's inspired by, Matty Fitz, and he sees that non-winners do have a chance to win out here on the PGA Tour. So
that's fair. Yeah, and I think honestly you could make an easy case for all of them. Obviously, Rory, JT, Scheffler probably playing the best golf in the world right now, along with Sam Burns to a degree, and then Cantlay. So Cantlay is first in strokes gained total over his last 50 rounds on courses under 7,200 yards, and also first in strokes gained total over his last 50 rounds on Pete Dye design courses, courtesy of Fantasy National. So those are two angles you're looking at. I mean, he's definitely played well on the shorter courses and has played well on Pete Dye designs, and he has 4 straight top 15s at the Travelers. But 13-1 for Patrick Cantlay is just a no-go for me. So probably means he wins this week, but not going to do it. So, and then, I mean, I did obviously rattle off Sungjae and Keegan as well. Sungjae was super popular last week, but kind of surprised to see him as low as 30. And then Keegan has played well here as well. He's obviously he's a Northeastern guy. Talked about how excited he was to play in front of friends and family at the U.S. Open last week. He may be a little bit more relaxed coming into this week, and of course he's comfortable at. So I could see Keegan kind of rolling in another nice performance. But 30 on Keegan just again doesn't feel great. So, but I am as weird as it sounds, I'm actually slightly concerned about Keegan Bradley this week.
I might toss in like a first round leader on Keegan. Yeah, it's weird. He's like one of those guys. I could see him getting hot for a few rounds. He's one of those guys who rattle in some birdies in a row and go on those runs. It's just so hard to trust Keegan to actually put it all together and close out a tournament.
Yeah,
especially at this number, it's just I don't know, 30-1. That's so tough. Although we sat here and we said the same thing about Matt Fitz last week at 25-1, and he wins. But
it's a little bit different though. But yeah. He plays here every year. I think he's played here 11 years. He's only missed a cut 3 times. He has a runner-up, an 8th place finish in 2017, but for the most part, pretty middling, top 40s, nothing special. But that being said, he's definitely played well recently. He modeled out well for me, and I think, like I said, there will be a little bit of pressure taken off him this week. And I have actually a pretty tough one-and-done decision to make this week because I do have a few of the guys towards the top of the board available to play in one-and-done, and that decision is not going to be easy. So Keegan's actually on the radar for that, which is shocking. But
wow, that is shocking.
Yeah. So I still need to make a decision on Spieth, but I'm pretty close to getting there. 22 feels like a really good number. But you will understand my predicament when we get into this next section because I like a ton of guys between 35 and 75. So, I mean, I guess we can kind of cut it off at 55 for now, and then we'll get into the guys over 55. But Tony Finau, Joaquin Niemann, Davis Riley between 34 and 36 on FanDuel, Mark Leishman, Mito Pereira, Brooks Koepka, Tommy Fleetwood, Seamus Power, Aaron Wise between 46 and 48 on FanDuel, and then Brian Harmon and Denny McCarthy at 50 and 55. And we're 65 and above after that, but I think that this is where a ton of value comes into play with, I mean, guys that are playing good golf, guys that maybe aren't – there are a few perennial winners in there, but guys that maybe aren't winning all the time, but this course does seem to shape up well for a few of these guys. So I'll let you lead off this 35 and above section, Matt.
I am going to make a pretty unusual pick for myself here at 34-1. I'm going to take Tony.
All right. Wow, I thought you were about to do a little play on words there and just say a little unusual and then take Joaquin Niemann.
Well, I'm going to take him too, but that would be usual. I'm going to take Tony. I don't know. I think Fitzpatrick kind of shifted my perspective last week. Maybe we're going to start to see some non-winners win. And Tony did miss the cut last week, but he was playing really well before that. He was second at the RBC Canadian Open where he got beat by Rory, but I mean, he played really well that week. Fourth at the Charles Schwab, 30th at the PGA. In all three of those events I just named prior to that U.S. Open, he gained across the board in all major stat categories. So I think if you toss out last week, he's bringing a pretty complete game into this week. Obviously, he's had his issues closing in the past, but we're coming up on kind of that 1 year anniversary of Tony winning one last year. So I got a little faith in him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think it's a pretty good number. He's playing well, and there's other non-winners that he's at a better price than. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
he's on the list of guys I'm considering for one and done as well because like you said, he's been playing extremely well. And if you look on Fantasy National over his last 5 tournaments, he's gained an average of 7.5 strokes total, 8.5 tee to green, 3.6 off the tee, 2.5 on approach, 2.5 around the green, and 1.8 putting. And he's all green through his last 20 tournaments on average. So
I like that.
He's been on an impressive streak. I mean, it really is a lot over the last month or so, starting at the Mexico Open where he finished runner-up, but 2 runners-up, the 4th at Charles Schwab. Obviously, the miscut last week at the U.S. Open, pretty close to on the number. I mean, he bogeyed the 18th to get the +5. Disappointing because I obviously had a top 20 on him, and I thought if he made the cut, he would have had a shot. But, yeah, I'm not joining you, but I'm a little shocked, and good luck.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, he had some big-time putting trouble early in the year. I think he lost strokes putting in 8 straight events or something, but seems to get that straightened out recently. So, I'm going to take a chance on him this week. I'm also going to no surprise, take Joaquin Niemann again. He's been knocking, and I've been riding it, so I'm not going to stop now. He had 47th at the U.S. Open last week, not great, but he had a really bad Saturday in those tough conditions. But prior to that, he was 3rd at the Memorial. He gained 8.7 strokes tee to green. 23rd at the PGA, where he gained 5.3 strokes tee to green. Both not easy tournaments to do that in. We just talked about that being a key category. And then he was 25th at the Byron Nelson and 12th at the RBC Heritage, which is another one of those shorter Pete Dye tracks. So I think Niemann's coming in pretty good form. We saw him win at Riviera earlier in the year, kind of close that door and gain some confidence. I think it's a pretty good number on him, actually, 35 in this field. I was pretty surprised to catch that number, so I will be on board this week.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I'm having a tough time passing on Niemann this week, so it may be ending up starting my card with Niemann instead of Spieth. I mean, yeah, he checks a ton of boxes this week. He's 9th over his last 50 rounds on Pete Dye designs, strokes gained total. 27th over his last 50 rounds and courses under 7,200 yards. 13th in birdies gained over his last 24 rounds. Top 20 in good drives gained. 4th off the tee. 13th in tee to green. His approach game, like we've mentioned recently, is still not statistically, towards the top. And those wedge numbers are not great. It's definitely slightly above average. But if you're looking for a guy that can make birdies in bunches, Niemann's definitely one of them. And it does actually feel like a pretty good number in 35. Not something that he's dying over, but he's played really consistently even since his win at the Genesis. I mean, this year alone, he's got the 6th at the Farmers, his win at the Genesis, the 3rd at the Memorial, 12th at RBC Heritage. I mean, plenty of good golf. Really, his only blemish was the missed cut at the Honda. But besides that, he's been super consistent.
And even that was coming off, I think, his win at the Riviera.
It was. It was the following week, yeah. So he was hammered drunk on the course. So
he was still getting over the tequila.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think I'm going to join you on Niemann. I like it.
I like that.
I am going to release my next pick because, as a guy is also from Chile, I'm going to be taking Mito this week. So going with the Chilean bros, Joaquin and Mito to start the card. Mito models out tremendously for me this week as well. And I think it was pretty impressive, his bounce back after his, diabolical finish to the PGA where he double bogeys and misses the playoff opportunity against JT and Zalatoris. And really, I mean, obviously, if he makes par, he wins the PGA Championship and has a major under his belt. But he bounces right back, 7th with Charles Schwab and then 13th Memorial. Missed a cut last week at the U.S. Open. But again, similar to Neiman, he's just been all around really good at pretty much everything besides putting. He putted well at the PGA, but even when he's losing strokes putting, he's finishing inside the top 20. So since the start of 2022, he's been one of the most consistent guys on tour. And I think the steam is kind of worn off on him in terms of people thinking he's going to win outright. But 46-1, I think he probably could have got a little bit better number at some point this week, but 46-1 feels pretty good for one of the best ball strikers alive right now. He's 3rd in tee to green, 7th in approach, 6th off the tee, and 1st in good drives gain over his last 24 rounds. His wedge game has been immaculate. He's 1st over his last 24 rounds and 125 to 150. I guess the only knock you could really have is he's not played this event before, but that's not going to worry me too much in an event where you're going to have to make a ton of birdies. I think he's gonna get out there. He's got plenty of time to prepare. Maybe head over there a little early after his miscut at the U.S. Open. So Mito.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I could be convinced in the Mito. I think what you said makes a lot of sense, and I have.
But it's a juicy territory. I could make a case for a lot of guys here. So
well, I think my next selection in this category is probably going to not end up playing. So I will have a spot to fill for him. But if he continues to be in the field, I'm going to take Brooks 48-1. He hasn't withdrawn yet. The news has come out. I'm expecting him to withdraw, but like if he doesn't, I mean, he's gonna want to send it off with a win. There's no other reason why he'd be playing. He has no reason to play this week.
Yeah, I feel like the book should just take your money and run if you make that bet, though.
What's that?
Like the book shouldn't have to refund your money if you make that bet.
It would be kind of a jackass bet. But, I mean, like, imagine I could see him being petty enough to like stick around and play one more event.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like his personality.
If he went out with like a win, how pissed everybody would be.
So pissed.
I think it would bring him a lot of joy to go out that way. So I mean, if he's in the field, 48-1, I gotta take it. I'm obligated to in his final PGA Tour event. I mean, I've rode with him for a long time. It only feels right to do it till the end. And I will say, actually, he drove the ball well last week. I do think ultimately the Srixon change is going to completely happen, and he's going to get rid of the irons and as well. But he drove it, and he gained strokes putting last week. He was 11th in the field off the tee. He just didn't hit his irons well enough, and he wasn't great around the green. I think he's going to go back to those Vokey wedges soon enough and the old irons, and he's going to be back where he needs to be. So I feel like foreshadowing for our Open Championship picks. But
yeah, I mean, hey, I'm gonna wait around, and if he ends up playing, I for one, I think that no one's betting on him this week, so I think you could end up getting better odds than 48-1, which I don't think is even super surprising. We're getting good odds at him in majors. We're gonna get him good odds at the Travelers, where it's a pretty good field. So interesting, but we'll see if he plays. I think people will be pretty surprised if he does, but it would be pretty Brooks-esque to kind of go off in style. Which would either be him playing really well or him missing the cut. So
I think if there's like one guy who would like do it, I mean, he would be one of the leading candidates in my mind. Who would be?
Yeah, but I think his nightmare is playing, making the cut, but being like 8 shots off the lead. I think he'll probably WD after that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I mean, imagine like he's in contention.
Yeah, we were saying that.
That would be like almost like a major field to him just to stick it to the PGA Tour on the way out.
I mean, maybe. So this is where things get interesting for me. Considering Aaron Wise, considering Denny McCarthy, both coming off pretty good performances, obviously, at the U.S. Open. Denny actually was, over this last 36 holes, he had the best score to par, tied with Fitzpatrick and Zalatoris. So very impressive finish from Denny. And he's coming to a place where, obviously, when the putter's running hot, Denny can make birdies in bunches, and I think he's kind of now run into this bit of form over the past year or so where he actually is striking the ball pretty well. I mean, he gained 11.5 strokes total at the U.S. Open last week, gained 10.5 strokes at the Memorial the week before, where he gained over 2 strokes on approach and 7 around the green and 5 putting, He lost a ton of strokes off the tee, which is never really going to be his strong suit. But I think his irons have kind of gone a little bit under the radar. He's definitely above average in tee to green and on approach game. And he's good on these short courses. I mean, he's 15th in his last 50 rounds, under 7,200 yards in this field. And we know he's a putting machine. There are definitely better numbers than 55, so I may have to look around, or maybe people are just hammering Denny this week. But him and Wise are right up there. Wise as well, to a completely different degree. He's kind of, I don't even know if he's under the radar at this point with his ball striking capabilities, but he's 12th in tee to green over his last 24 rounds, 5th on approach, 9th in birdies gained. His wedge game has been spectacular as well. And he's kind of been knocking on the door a bit. He finished 2nd at the Memorial, 6th at the Mexico Open. Has played well. I mean, really going back to even 2021, where he had a nice little stretch of golf at the end of last year, running into the fall swing, where he finished 21st at the Northern Trust, 17th at BMW, and then to start the following season, 8th at the Shriners and 5th at the CJ Cup. So this could be another course, I think, that shapes up pretty well for Aaron Wise, and we'll see if he can keep playing well. So I really got to make some decisions here, because we'll get into the 70s as well, but I got a ton of guys I really like. So
Sounds like you got a lot going on in this range.
I do.
I will say, Wise has been pretty impressive lately. I think I shit on him about a month ago on here, and I will retract. I will say, Aaron, you are playing pretty good. So maybe I was a little bit harsh about you not being able to win. But I feel like if you're going to choose between those two, I mean, you've been riding Denny for a while. You got to stick to your guns there.
Yeah, I mean, I would obviously be very upset if Denny won and didn't take him. So, but I guess I'll just open up to over 75. We got Jason Day at 65, Brendan Steele, who's played really well here at 65, Webb Simpson, Harold Varner also at 65 to 1 on FanDuel, and then Keith Mitchell, Joel Damon, Jason Kokrak, Siwoo Kim, Brendan Todd, Christian Bazane, who all at 75, and Matt McNeely at 80. And then we're basically 90 and above into the deep long shots. But right off the bat, the three guys are all on the same line on FanDuel. Varner, Mitchell, and Damon. This is part of the reason why I'm having trouble narrowing it down with Denny and Wise, because I've already placed a bet on Keith Mitchell. You've hammered it home into my brain that Keith can play well on these shorter courses, which is statistically not completely like elite, but he's 43rd over his last 50 rounds on strokes on courses under 7,200 yards. So I know you're on him, so I'm riding the ship.
Yeah, how many rounds was that under?
50, so a pretty big sample size.
Yeah, he played well. I mean, he had a rough go at the Wells Fargo, which was a shorter course. But yeah, I'm taking Keith. He's had really good results this year on short courses. He played well last time we saw him at the Canadian Open. He's coming in fresh, did not compete in the U.S. Open last week. And he's had a really good year. I just feel like he deserves to win one. Not that that's how it works, but I feel like he's had such a strong year. Like he feels like he's going to pull one out this year. This is probably one of his better years on tour, if not his best. Obviously, he's won before, so you probably take the one with a win as his best. But overall, he's had a great year. I like the way his game is playing. He's been really consistent, and I think he can do it this week. I think 70 is a really good number. I mean, last time we saw him at the Canadian Open, I feel like he was like 45 to 1 or something.
Yeah.
So 70 feels like a pretty good number.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good number. And also, I mean, he's definitely trending. I mean, he played well at the Memorial, finished 18th, 7th at the RBC Canadian Open. And since the Sony Open, since the RSM Classic, I'll go back that far, in November, he's got 8 top 18 finishes, 7 top 13 finishes, including the 13th at the Players. Obviously, like you said, the short courses, played well at Pebble Beach, played well at the Honda.
Yeah, Sony.
What's up?
Sony.
The Sony, yep.
Yeah, and then the Florida swing. I think he was. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he's played really well on those short courses this year. So, I mean, that just feels like a number you can't pass on with him this week, considering how consistent he's been.
One thing I don't love is obviously his back-to-back missed cuts at this event, and it does feel similar to like a Harbor Town, where it's like relatively predictive in terms of guys continue to play well. But if there's any time to take Keith at 70 to 1, it's a time where he's been playing this well over the last 6 months. So I'm jumping on board there. And then I'm also going to take Varner. I'm going to take Varner. I'm going to take him for a first-round leader. I'm just going to be all over Harold Varner this week. He's been playing out of his mind. I mean, obviously the storyline continues of him not being able to play well on Sundays, but I mean, since the Players, 6th at the Players, 3rd at RBC Heritage, 13th at the RBC Canadian Open. Another guy who's been absolutely locked in with his irons. And in total, I mean, he's not the strongest off the tee, but he's 3rd on approach over his last 24 rounds, 18th on courses under 7,200 yards, 16th on Pete Dye design courses, above average in both of the proximity ranges, under 175, 17th of birdies gained. Basically all the stats I was looking at this week, Harold is popping off, and we've just seen him trending. And for that, he's also – it was a split pay on the first-round leader, but we'll take it. And I think he's going to wound up with another nice Thursday performance as well. So he'll be on the first-round leader card as well.
Yeah, I might take him first-round leader as well. Like I said, I mean, last time I think he split it with like 8 guys, but better than a loss. So
Yep.
I'll take it. And yeah, it makes sense to get back on board with him for first-round leader this week. I probably won't take him outright, but I don't usually go that route anyway. So I do like the first-round leader call, though.
Lovely. Yeah, and obviously and also very nice, we have a morning tee time with Harold, so I like that a lot. And yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily expecting a win, but not going to miss it when I'm seeing this good a golf from Harold. So we obviously saw him win in Europe this year, so it's possible.
We won't name the country because,
it's
very controversial nowadays. Yeah.
And then Joel Damon was the other guy on that line. I mean, this seems like a perfect Joel Damon course coming off of probably one of his best performances of his life, where he finishes 10th at the U.S. Open. Another great guy on short courses. He's 19th on courses under 7,200 yards and 17th on these Pete Dye designs. He's been really good with his irons between 125 and 175. I mean, and I'm kind of rolling with that trend with the Harris English, Ches Reavie. Joel Damon kind of rolls off the tongue in conjunction with those two guys and playing well at the U.S. Open and winning the Travelers next week. So, again, another guy I probably could have got a better number on yesterday, but it's been a little bit of a crazy start to the week. So, Damon will be on the card. Going to look for a better number, but 70, yeah.
You got a lot of decisions to make to shape up the card, huh?
Well, now it's really just between Wise and Denny. Like those 3 guys at 65 and 70 are all going to be on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a guy right on the line after that I'll be taking, 75-1. I'm going to take Siwoo Kim.
All right.
No stranger to any of my cards, but Pete Dye specialist. Won at Sawgrass, obviously, big one, but he also won at the Amex 2 years ago. The Pete Dye Stadium course they play on Sunday. He played really well to hold off a charging Cam Davis, and I think Cantlay ended up going really low that day too. And Siwoo held him off. There's a big name there as well. But yeah, Siwoo, one of those good Pete Dye players. Obviously, he's been a little bit more consistent this year than his typical performances, but he hasn't been too great as of late. But 75-1, I'm willing to take him on a Pete Dye course. Told myself last year after going to the Amex that, always mental note, Siwoo with Pete Dye. See him here at 75. I'm going to remember my mental note and take him this week.
Okay. Fair enough. I like it. I was considering it, but I've kind of filled myself up, and I have a couple long shots that I'm going to get to as well. Longer shots than 70, that's for sure. So you have any other thoughts before we get to 100 and above?
I do not, although, I mean, Cam Davis is somewhat intriguing at 90, but no, I don't think I'm going to take any of these guys.
Okay, fair enough. Also,
Matt, I got some good news for you. If you like Cam Davis intriguing at 90, I see him as deep as 150.
Wow, where's that at?
DraftKings.
Interesting. Okay, all right, that's definitely intriguing.
So take a look. See if that piques your interest.
Down here as I look at the names, but okay, that is very good to know.
Just another note while we're down here before we get to 100. KH Lee, TPC Lee is at 90. He's finished 13th here in 2019. Could be an interesting first-round leader.
It is a TPC course, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see about KH Lee. That would be foolish of us not to at least mention him. So, and also, like you said, Mackenzie Hughes has had some really nice rounds here. He's at 90, and now we're 100 and above. Kevin Kisner, another Pete Dye design guy. He's at 100. Harris English, former champion, at 120. Our guy Ricky Fowler, my guy Ricky Fowler, is back in the field at 120. So yeah, over 100, Matt. If you have any thoughts, fire away.
I'm debating Harris. I think it might be a little soon coming back from injury. I will say he made the cut last week, but we hit him here last year, defending champ 120-1. He's Ryder Cup member. He had a good year last year. I think it's kind of a big ask, but I do kind of miss taking Harris. I just saw someone next time, and I kind of wanted to bounce it off you. What do you think about Stuart Sink? I mean, I know what you think about Stuart Sink. You don't like him, but
I don't not like him. He's just old.
Win the RBC Heritage last year. If we're talking about like Pete Dye, kind of similar, club down off the tee positional course. Is it?
I mean, yeah,
120-1.
It's not a horrible number. I mean, honestly, he's well above average in all of the statistical categories that I kind of looked at. I mean, maybe not well above average, but he's definitely in the top half of the field, and he's a pretty well-rounded guy, even being a little bit older at this point. And yeah, I mean, it's not too long ago where he's won an event. He does have 2 top 10s in 2022. It's not a crazy thought.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy that I'm having it, but like seeing his name there at that number, I'm like, it's not. I'm not going to roll it out at this point.
Runner up in 2018.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking Sink is an option for me this week.
I mean, yeah, maybe for a finishing position spot too. I mean, it's not a bad spot.
Yeah, all right. So I'm not ruling Sink out yet.
All right. Okay, good. I'm gonna ride the bandwagon of Ricky making cuts, so I'm gonna probably take a top 40 on Ricky just to get back in the groove there. He's played well at this event before. I think he's had a top 5 here. No, 13th, but
close enough.
Pretty good, and that was 10 years ago. But nevertheless, he's had some experience here, so I don't hate that. Ricky getting back out there, and I mean, we've talked about Liv on this podcast, so he's probably a name that's got to be considering it at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised he hasn't made the plunge yet. I mean,
yeah,
I will say, like, if he goes, I mean, people will, but I don't think you can really knock him. Like, he's done pretty much everything in his power to, like, try to stick around to be relevant on the PGA Tour. He played qualifier for the U.S. Open. He was, like, the first alternate last week that didn't get in. Like, he's trying over here. He's working his
I know. Well, that's also a little disingenuous. I mean, it's been a year and a half. Like, he's actually made a lot of progress.
No, he has, but like, it's what I'm saying. Like, he's grinding it out. He's trying over here, but like at a certain point, I mean, if you're not even making majors, like, why would you not make the jump? That was like the one, like, what if? Like, if you're not even playing it, you might as well go and take more money.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still outside the top 100 in official world golf ranking. But nevertheless, I'm going to jump on my guy when he's at good odds for top 40, something along those lines. But yeah, I guess I'm trying to find him in the official world golf ranking here tonight. Okay, there he is, 142. So he's creeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I have some more interesting plays. So
well, enough guys jump, you might end up in the playoffs.
Well, that's actually a completely different story. I think in the FedEx Cup standings, he is inside the top 125.
Yeah, he could make a run that way.
Oh yeah, what the redemption story on Ricky is just being started. So buckle up. I have 2 more long shots that I'm going to sprinkle this week. I think you're probably going to be a little intrigued on one of them.
Is it Matthew Wolff?
CT Pan.
Oh, CT Pan.
Yeah, he was at 160 when we started the show. Now he's down to 120, so I kind of wish I jumped on that. But there's probably a nice 150 out there somewhere on CT. But another low-key Pete Dye design guy.
CT winning in CT.
What's that?
CT
winning
and
CT. I like that. He has a top 10 finish back in 2017 at the Travelers. He's kind of had a mixed bag. He's got 3 missed cuts and then a 25th, a 36th, and an 8th. So, and CT, I guess recently he WD'd from the Canadian Open. I know you were taking him that week, but
yeah, what the heck was that about?
I don't know. That's the only thing that's kind of holding me back on it. But 7 straight made cuts for CT. Nothing really great, but the Wells Fargo 15th there, 16th at the Honda. I think there's enough good things to say about CT on these shorter Pete Dye design courses. His irons have actually been really good. He's 15th in his strokes gained on approach his last 24 rounds, and pretty good off the tee. 15th and good drives gained as well. So
I'll take that with you.
all right,
Yeah.
120 on CT at least.
I like that.
Probably be able to find something better. We're on FanDuel right now, and then last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't take a shot on Matthew Neesmith this week, even though he did play poorly on Sunday and he's missed his only 2 cuts here at the Travelers. He's been trending, and I mean, for a guy that was pretty volatile last year and for a lot of his career so far, he's now made 6 straight cuts, and the miscut he had was his appearance after the Valspar where he finished 3rd, and I was shitting my pants because I had a top 20 on him for like plus 600, but did not take the outright at like 200 to 1. So I'm going to take Neesmith at 160. I think he can roll over some good form from last week's U.S. Open into this week at the Travelers. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's your guy. I'm actually surprised, and you're still getting this good numbers on him. Obviously, he hasn't won, but he's kind of popped on enough leaderboards that you think he'd, get a little bit more respect in the odds.
Yeah, well, the thing is that he pops, but then a lot of the times he kind of disappears on the weekend. So
yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't really take him, so I don't really look at like the finishing positions, but I feel like I see him enough on leaderboards where it's like, nice. But the funny thing is too, every time I see him, I think of you because I know you most likely have him. So I'm like, Neesmith playing well again for you, but I never like check in on his finishing spot.
Yeah, well, in 2022, 3rd at the Valspar and 12th at RBC Heritage. So he does have a couple of finishes on basically the leaderboard, and obviously he was very much in the race at the Valspar. And then, he's been playing as consistent as he can, and the putter's been pretty solid, and we know we're going to get a pretty good approach game from him. So I think this course should shape up better for him than his missed cuts over the last couple of years. So I like that as a long shot play, and I think that will be it for me. And I think I'll probably take a bunch of those top 20s for the guys that I like in that mid-tier. I think we get pretty good numbers there. Need to get back in the plus EV on top 20 bets because last week was pretty tough. Finau, Lowry, Wyndham Clark all missing the cut right around the number. It was painful. And then, didn't have any finishing positions really even on the table when the weekend came. So,
I got my shit kicked in last week as well.
So, Paulus, you want to jump in here? What are your thoughts on the event? Who are you taking? And then we'll get into one and dones.
I have up top. I was thinking between Burns and Spieth. I'm leaning towards Spieth. I mean, I say similar to you. I know you were considering Spieth up there, but I'm not sure I'm going to pull the trigger. I might just kind of load up in that middle tier that you guys talked about. A lot of good options in there. Finau is on my consideration too, Matthew, but I might even just go like top 10 or top 5 even with him. Feels a little safer. I say that as I'm going to rattle off a couple guys that haven't won after him that I'm going to take outright, but I just feel like Tony's floor is pretty high. Last week wasn't great, but overall he's been playing well. Mito is on my card. Davis Riley is a guy that's been playing really well that I've been taking, so I'm going to ride some Davis Riley. A guy, I don't think either of you touched on him, but Webb Simpson's at like 65, 70 in that range.
Yeah.
He's had some success at this kind of course. Pete Dye course is kind of up his alley. He's slowly coming back. I think he's still getting back from that injury, but I think this could be a good place for him. And then I was looking at Cam Davis before I saw that 150, Matt. So I think 150 is a fantastic number on Cam Davis. Although the fact that it doubled doesn't feel like a great sign. I don't know if you read into line movement and all that kind of stuff, but at 150, fuck it.
Yeah, I will say Webb does have 5 top 13 finishes here. So
yeah,
he's 2nd and 4th in strokes gained total on under 7,200 yard courses, and Pete Dye's on. So
I will also say I officially have more room on the card because Brooks Koepka has withdrawn from the Travelers Championship.
There we go. Breaking news. Tough. He was probably going to win if he played.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't have to now worry about getting my money back from the books. Didn't put it in yet. That's why you wait, folks.
I love, obviously, got to keep on the Varner first round leader train. We've been riding that hard lately. No reason to get off this week. And I think I'm going to do Keegan first round leader too. I think
Yeah.
you touched on Owen. Did you touch on it first round leader? I know you talked
Yeah.
about Keegan,
I
played
think
well
I'm gonna
last
take him
week and
first
could
round.
kind of ride that momentum instead of just kind of burning out post major.
Double first round leader team plays. I like it.
But Keegan's he's one of the few first round leaders I've actually hit, so a little fond of him there, but you can just get scorching hot with the birdies, so
100%.
I can see that happen. So and
right.
then one and done, I'm gonna take Patrick Cantlay. I'm pretty much just taking the highest guy I have available, and he's rates out really well on P-TI courses, so Cantlay for me.
Have you started to creep up the standings at all?
I mean, I've had 2 top 10 finishes, but I'm still like in the mid 3,000. So yes, but no. Yes, by my standards. No, by the overall standards.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Matt, you want to just lay out your card and you're one and done?
Yes, I am going to take Tony, Joaquin Neiman. Now there's an opening where Brooks was going to have his farewell spot. So I guess that'll be between Mito and potentially Webb. Boston might have popped my mind there a little bit. Then I'm going to go down low, Killer Keith, Siwoo Kim at 75. And then I'm going to do Stuart Sink and CT Pan at 120 each. And I think one and done, I'm going to take Joaquin Neiman this week. Been debating him for a few weeks now. Might as well use him this week and see what happens. I'm starting to slide a little bit in the standings, so I'm going to need a win.
Okay. Wait, I missed your one and done pick, though. Who was it?
Neiman.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All under the Neiman train this week. All right. Yes. I mean, this is kind of a fun week because if you do skip down to above 35, like you can really, really load up on this card. So that's what I'm doing. I got Neiman, Mito, the Chilean Bash brothers, and then Varner, Mitchell, and Damon between 65 and 70. And then Neesmith at 160 and CT Pan at 120. Then taking Bradley and Varner first round leader as well. And I think I'm probably going to add Neiman to that first round leader card. I've been taking him first round leader a bunch. I like that angle for Neiman. I think he can also get scorching hot. And then top 20 is going to be a combo of those guys. And going to have some Denny McCarthy action in some fashion. And we'll see. I mean, I do feel good about Aaron Wise this week too. So I will be upset if those two guys play well and I don't have them. But can't take them all, boys. So, and then one and done, I'm back inside the top 200 in the Mayo Cup. 9 events to go. This week is a tough week. I have Burns, Cantlay, Finau, Keegan all available with guys under 35 to 1. And I'm leaning towards Burns, but Finau and Keegan are right there. So I do want to be – it is nice to have like a lower-owned guy if you get a top 5. Obviously, hitting a winner on an under-owned guy would be nice. And I obviously am not taking any of them outright, so it kind of gives you an extra rooting interest. But that's where we're at, guys. So I like it. I have been battling through some allergies and a little bit of cold here today. So thank you all for listening. And we will be back next week, potentially for the John Deere and all other golf events that will be going on. And then we're only a few weeks away from the Open Championship. So exciting times. Plenty of summer golf ahead. Let's hit a winner this week.